Greetings, friend. We have just studied 1 Corinthians chapter 11 this week, and we've noted two particular concerns that Paul was dealing with. The first one is that divisions, of course, had come into the church, and Paul this time acknowledges that such things must come. And the reason is so that God can show who has his favor. And then the second one was about eating the Lord's Supper, and people were just eating supper, right? They weren't understanding the sacrifice that Christ had made, his broken body and his blood poured out. So Paul's going to address these issues. And for the first one, Paul, as you know, knew the Old Testament so well. And I'm sure that he was thinking of the passage in Numbers chapter 16 when people rose up against Moses and Aaron and God opened the earth and swallowed them up. But the seeds of division had already been planted, and so additional people continued to rise up. And God had this solution. He said, take 12 sticks, one for each tribe of the nation of Israel, put them in the tabernacle overnight where the Ark of the Covenant was, and whoever's stick budded and blossomed and came to life, that was who God's favor rested on. And so they did that, and of course we know that Aaron, the great high priest, his stick had budded and blossomed and come to life. This speaks of the gospel of Jesus Christ, that he died for our sins, and that as the women came to the tomb early Sunday morning, what did they find? He was not dead. He had risen. And God had vindicated his son. And this showed God's favor rested on our great high priest. And so that he came to life and God's approval was on him. And so then we saw how Paul dealt with the Corinthians who were eating and drinking the Lord's Supper in an unworthy manner. Have you ever wondered what's an unworthy manner to eat the Lord's Supper? I always used to think it was, well, if I had sin in my life, known sin. No, what he's referring to is they were simply eating supper. They were just eating and getting drunk, and they were pushing the poor out of the way and getting their food first and all that kind of stuff. They were not recognizing the broken body of Jesus, nor the blood he shed for their forgiveness. He corrected their behavior by taking them to the cross. How many times have we seen Paul do this? He was a one-note Joe. If you think of it that way, he was all about the cross. At the beginning of Paul's letter to the Corinthians, he said in chapter 2 and verse 2 that he had resolved to know nothing but Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I wonder if you are beginning to live and grow in the gospel to such an extent that you could say the same thing.